Linda, shut the door.
Get out.
Okay, come here, Winnie. I gotta use you as a photo prop.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I have the cute little Winnie here to draw you guys in. And look at that cuteness. She's so naughty though. Today I have an update for you guys. I should have already posted our life update video, so if you haven't seen that, go and watch it before you watch this because it's going to make a lot more sense. I apologize in advance if you hear my dog chewing on things. If chewing noises bother you as much as me, it's the worst. So let's just jump into this update. Based on the title, you know that I am going to be talking about the HSG. If you get queasy easily about like medical things, this probably isn't the video for you because I'm going to be going into detail. So if that bothers you, I would just stop watching now. The HSG is something that you're going to have to go through if you're conceiving through a fertility clinic. Specifically, this test helps to determine if you have blockages in your fallopian tubes, which if you don't know what an HSG is, I'll put the actual name of it right here because I definitely can't pronounce it. Hysterosalpingogram. Hysterosalpingogram. Test for tubal infertility is what it is, okay guys? I'm not a doctor, I'm sorry, but the HSG, for those of you that do not know, it is something that you do whether you're trying to conceive through IVF, through IUI, whatever fertility clinic method you've chosen. You get this procedure done, I would say most of the time. I think you can elect not to, but for me, we chose to do it because I would rather know now if there are any issues rather than encountering them later after you've already spent money on failed IUIs. So what the doctor is going to do is insert a speculum, which helps to open the vagina and give a good view into the cervix. Then what they do is they swab and they clean the area so that you don't get an infection, and then they have something to pinch the cervix. And so they pinch the cervix, and then after that the lab technicians come up and set up the x-ray. Like if you're laying here, they'll set the x-ray machine over your like uterus and your fallopian tubes, over that area, and then they will do the x-rays. And as they start the machine, your doctor is going to inject dye that will go up into your fallopian tubes, and what they're doing is checking to make sure that this dye goes in through the tubes and then out where it should be, into wherever it goes out to. And it's going to show if there's any blockages. Blockages can prevent you from getting pregnant sometimes, so they want to know if there are any issues with that. So I had mine today. I had it this afternoon. I left work early to go get it done, and I went in and they take all your vitals and they take a pregnancy test to make sure that you're not pregnant, because you're going to be getting an x-ray and they don't want to mess around with that. I went down to radiology and I waited for probably 20 minutes. I think they had a lot of women they were rotating through, and I was early for my appointment, so I waited for a little bit. And can you stop fighting, please? Let mommy record a video, okay? Okay, so I waited in radiology for about 20 minutes, and then they took me back, and you change into a gown, and you take off your pants and your underwear, you leave your socks on because nobody wants to walk on the bare floor. And then I went in and I laid on the table, and she explained the whole procedure, and she ran me through everything, and then I signed a consent form. After that, I laid down and I had the speculum, and then she disinfected it and put pinched the cervix. I'm not sure what it's called when they do that, but she pinched it. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it was very painful, and I don't know, for me, I never have any discomfort or pain when I'm having like regular PAPs, so that was the only thing I had to compare it to. Compared to that, it was very, very painful. I think that there was some pinching with the speculum, which also amplified it, which after I told her, I was like, that's definitely pinching from the speculum. Like, it doesn't feel so much crampy, it just was pinching, because they say you should expect to feel like really intense period cramps, but when she put the speculum in, like, it was pinching immediately. So after she had everything in there, she's like, how are you feeling? And I was like, it's pinching a lot. So she adjusted it, and then it was a little bit better. I'd say like 20% of the pain was gone, but it's still very uncomfortable. And then after that, the lab, or like the x-ray technicians, came in and they put it over my stomach, and they just were adjusting the table so that they would have a good view, and they put the monitor in front of my doctor. And so then she's like, okay, we're gonna inject the dye. So they injected the dye, and there's no good way to describe it, but it's kind of like if you could imagine like a really bad period cramp just like starting from your vaginal area and moving up into where like it normally hurts, like up where your ovaries are. It was like a very slow rolling pain, but it was more of like a burning pain. It was very uncomfortable. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it wasn't fun. It was bearable. I didn't cry, which if you know me in real life, you know I'm a very easy crier. I'm a very emotional person. So I'm kind of surprised at myself that I didn't cry, but it was intense. It was very intense, especially when you're not sure what to expect. If I had known what to expect, I think it would have been a little bit better, but I've never had anything done like that, so it was hard. But if I can do it, anyone can do it, because I wouldn't say I have like a crazy good pain tolerance. So she injects the dye, and then she looks to make sure that she can see and has a good view. I think I read that like if your doctor's not able to see very well, they might have you shift and move around, which might be a little uncomfortable because there's a lot of pressure because you're being held open with the speculum. But for me, it was good. It was really nice having like a communicative doctor, because she like was telling me the whole time like, okay, you know, we're gonna do this now, I'm gonna put the speculum in, and now we're gonna do this, and we're gonna inject it now, you're halfway done, like you're doing great. It was really nice, because I'm one of those people that has to have like the end goal or see the finish line, so that I don't freak out, because if I don't know that the end is coming, I just get really anxious and I feel like it's not ever gonna end. And so I kept asking her like, okay, like what now, like what's next? And so it was really good to have her talk me through it, which if you have a doctor that isn't like as vocal about it, just ask. Be like, okay, well, how long does this take? Okay, what's after this? What should I expect now? Like, if you're feeling a lot of pain, be like, is this normal? Like, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself, because they do these procedures all day. She does it every Wednesday, all day, every day. So if you have questions, it's your body, and nobody can advocate for you more than you can. So definitely speak up for yourself if you feel like something's not right. Because for me, the speculum was incredibly painful, and I was like, this is not normal. I'm like, it's pinching a lot, and she fixed it. So just don't be shy. Anyway, so after they injected the dye, it was probably, I would say the whole procedure from inserting the speculum to taking everything out was probably only 3 minutes, if that. Honestly, it probably felt a lot longer than it was, just because it was pretty painful. So I think that she injected the dye for like 30 seconds, and then she's like, okay, you're done. And so she waited for all of them to leave the room, the lab technicians, and then she unpinched it, it's such a weird sensation. Like when she pinched it, it's like I can't even describe it. It's so hard to describe, but it's like a burning warmth that just like takes in. I could feel it moving up my tubes. It was so weird, especially when she pinched the cervix too. I could feel it like moving up my body, and it was like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so bad at describing it. It's definitely not something that I've ever felt before. It wasn't terrible. The pinching of the cervix wasn't that bad. The speculum hurt worse than that. So remove that, and then there was some spotting and some bleeding, and so she's like, you are bleeding, but it's not anything like excessive. Like, it's pretty normal. So I'm just gonna wait for that to stop a little bit, and then you'll be good to go. She stopped that, and she's like, okay. She's like, everything looks really great. So I stayed laying down for a minute, and she showed me on the screen, because they took a picture, and she showed me my fallopian tubes and showed that the dye was able to move through completely clear, and everything looked great. So, which I didn't have any concerns that would. It's just, I would like to know before we start all of the other things if there were any issues. I wasn't expecting there to be, but I would just like to have the peace of mind. It was an overall very quick procedure. I had read that it could be like 15 minutes, but it wasn't anything like that. It was like 3 minutes, maybe 4. Honestly, I don't think it was long at all. Afterwards, you just go into the bathroom, kind of like a pap, and you just clean up and get dressed, and you're on with your day. Like, I've never had something like hurt very intensely. Like, it was a lot of pain. Like, I was like holding my arm like this, and I was like breathing, and I was like trying to like exhale through it and breathe in and out so that it would relax, because tensing up would make it worse. But when she took everything out, it was like it never happened. Like, my body just instantly was back to normal. I wasn't cramping, I wasn't anything. I felt completely normal, and I was like, I described it to like some family members. I was like, it was like having a nightmare and then waking up. Like, it was like something awful, and then all of a sudden you're awake, and it didn't even happen. Like, I felt crazy. I was like, did that pain just happen, or did I make it up in my head? I would say afterwards, I haven't had any real cramping. There's definitely, they say to like have a liner or a pad, so I brought my own, because otherwise they give you like the pillow one. So if you're going to get yours, definitely bring your own that you're comfortable using. I just put a liner in because it's nothing heavy, but you will have spotting and some of the residual HSG dye will come out. I haven't had any really bad symptoms, like I'm not cramping, I'm not having any issues, but I will say I've been really lightheaded. Like I've had a couple of times I've stood up and I just normal, standing up normally, and I felt like, ooh, I could pass out. So I noticed that like when we were eating dinner and when I was coming up to film, like I just felt really lightheaded. So I'm not sure what causes that, but it's a normal symptom. The only things you should be worried about after the procedure is extreme like abdominal pain, like more than the period cramp, or bleeding that fills up like a full pad in an hour. Like excessive bleeding like that, you should call your doctor. But like it sucked in the moment, I'm not gonna lie, it was terrible, but now I'm like, meh. I'm like, now that I know what to expect, I could do it again. Not that I'll need to. That is pretty much all I can tell you about that. Hello? Hello? Sir? I'm trying to record here. I'm trying to film. Say hi to the camera. Say hi to the camera. I say cheese. Anyway guys, that's all I had to tell you about that. If you guys have any questions that you'd like me to answer, just leave it in the comments and I will respond to those. And I will probably be making another video just like of other things I've had to do throughout this process and what we will be doing in the future. If you guys like videos like this or you're going through anything similar, definitely give it a like and make sure to keep watching. There's going to be a lot of updates coming up in the future, so I'm really excited to get back into making videos. I've missed it a lot. I'm not going to say I hope you enjoyed, because I mean, I guess if you enjoy listening about people's pain, that's great, but hopefully it was informative and you learned something. And if you're going through it, you feel like you're not alone, because as much as it can be really emotional in the moment, especially I guess being a couple that's not necessarily suffering from infertility, but more just not having the mathematical equation to have a baby. Like it can be hard knowing that we have to go through so many hoops and through so many hard things and so much paperwork and so much research just to have a baby, but it's all worth it in the end. So if you're going through this too, definitely let me know, and if I can do it, you can do it. We're all doing this together and it's all for the greater good. Someday you're gonna have that precious child in your arms, no matter how it gets there. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.